I don't feel as though it is necessary for you all to see my face today because today we are reading. Today's verse will come out of Deuteronomy chapter 6. And I've already read the chapter, but just to reiterate what the verse is for today, I want to tell you what it is. So I'm in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5, and it says, which I'm sure you have heard this before. It says, and you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. It also further reads, and you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these commands that I am giving you today. Furthermore, repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you are at home and when you are on the road, when you are going to bed, when you're getting up. It also further explains to tie them to your hands and wear them on your forehead as reminders. Write them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates. So, what they're mentioning in regards to talking about it all the time at the house, on the road, and tying your hands and writing them on the doorpost, it is saying the command of loving the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. So that is where our verse is coming out of tonight. And I also found these devotionals, or these activities to do in the back of my Bible, where it mentions, I don't just love you. And it says with that activity, after reading Deuteronomy 6, it says to discuss these questions. So I wanted to discuss these questions with you all and really just share where I'm at in regards to the verse for the day. So the first question says, how does loving God help you when you're sad? Now, I'm going to be honest with you all. When I first read these questions, I said, what are we doing? These questions don't make no sense. And honestly, I still may not be answering them correctly, but I'm going to do the best I can to answer them to the best of my knowledge in my walk with God. And so here we are again, eating this mic. Give me a second. Goodness. Okay, I am back. So, the question number 1 reads, how does loving God help you when you're sad? And so if I was to think back to a time where I was sad, how I would have handled it before is, of course, not how I would handle it now on this walk with God and finding out who He is. So let me think, how does loving God help you when you're sad? Well, for me, I believe that loving God helps me because when I'm sad, He is patient enough to allow me to have my moment. He allows me to express my feelings, even to the point to where the verse that I had mentioned in another video, where somebody, I can't remember who they was in the Bible, I was depressed, and he was like, you just need a nap and some food. And so when it comes down to me being sad, I feel like loving God has helped me because it has allowed me to express myself and also trust Him with my feelings and know that I will not only not be judged, but will be cared for. Yeah. The next question says, how does loving God help you when you're angry? And we are an honest group around here, so I just want to be very clear that I used two cuss words earlier today when driving. Yeah, so we're still working on that. But how does loving God help you when you're angry? I can say I immediately felt convicted. I then was able to easily not only forgive myself, but forgive the person. So when I am angry, loving God has helped me not only be more forgiving, but also it has also shown me that revenge is his. So I don't need to, react the way I do or react at all. I could just move on and let it be what it is. Yes. Okay, so then it goes on to ask, how does loving God help you when you're scared? That is interesting because I actually had a run in with a spider a few weeks back. Yeah, not the biggest fan of bugs and insects, crawling things, and things of that nature. And it wasn't until I was in a different realm when I had encountered this spider, and I was then shown that, this fear is make believe. Yes, it may have frightened us in regards to unexpectedly showing up, but to be fearful or scared, it showed me that it was just a feeling, and those are fleeting, meaning the only person and thing I need to be scared or fearful of is God. And if he's made these things, creatures and heights and other things that I was once scared of, it kind of has made me at a bit of an ease. Loving God has helped me when I'm scared because I know that he is with me. I know these sound a little cliche, but stay with me because, man, this might end in my mouth one more time. Maybe is it my lips? I know God is with me, so I choose to not be scared because if I have to walk through the shadows, come on, I know God is with me. Okay, moving on. How does loving God help you when you're happy? Loving God helps me when I am happy because when I'm in the best of mood, I just feel like giving. I'm gonna be honest. I just feel like giving, and that is all types of ways. I just feel more grateful. So then, there's the cheerful giver when it comes down to finances. And then there's also just someone who's willing to serve and be of use because we're in good spirits. And loving God has helped me when I'm happy because I just feel like, my heart has grown. I can have a little bit more patience, and I can, speak to everyone that I see, and so on and so forth, as which believe God intends for us to be that way. I believe he wants us all to be happy, so that affects who we are as representatives, so Deuteronomy 6 has definitely helped us out for today when it comes down to love, because love is a form of expression that can be expressed and shown in many ways. And so, with that, it's good to keep these things in our hearts and in our minds. And as it even talks about sharing this love with family and talking about it on the road and posting and putting it over our doorposts and things of that nature, it's a constant reminder that we should love God in every single thing that we do. Everything. If we're eating, if we're just simply existing, or if we're going somewhere, if we're doing anything, everything should be filled with the love of God. It says to love him with your mind, soul, and heart, right? So that seems to be everything with our strength. A strength may not be much when it comes down to the gym, but when it comes down to some, you know what I mean? Strength, just straight up the get up and go. To love him with all of that and our soul and our minds and all those things, it's that's a lot of love. And to do that every day, I know that takes constant dying of flesh. That to me will be something that will be constant. So just wanted to briefly discuss Deuteronomy 6. And I really hope you all are keeping that in your forefront of your mind. Love God with everything, everything. Everything, and you must love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your strength. Amen. Amen.